How's it going, fellow fishermen and fisherwomen? Hope you're doing well. This is Mr. Bass, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that, if you fish long enough, is absolutely going to happen to you. I'm talking about getting a hook stuck into your body somewhere. This is inevitable. I don't care how careful you are. I don't care how many precautions you take. If you spend a lot of time on the water with a fishing rod in your hand, you are eventually going to stick yourself. Now, most of the times, in fact, many of the times when I've got a treble hook in my hand or another part of my body, it hasn't really penetrated that far. Pretty easy to remove, no big deal. Where it gets scary and where it gets painful is when that barb penetrates through the skin to a point that you cannot easily remove the hook. That is a problem. That is painful, and it can be frightening. So it happened to me just recently, and what's crazy about this is it didn't even happen on the water. It happened right here in Mr. Bass Studios during a live stream. That's right. I was doing a show live. Luckily, we were close to the end of the show. One of the guys on the live stream said, "Hey, I want to check out that swim bait you've got hanging up here." And as you can see, over here, I've got swim baits hanging on the wall here, and I have them hanging over here as well. No big deal. I love to share my swim baits. I reached up on the wall, took it down. Here it is. He wanted to see the DRT Clash 9. It's a sweet, sweet bait. Really cool. We're sitting talking, showed it to him, went to hang it back up, hung it up like this, and just casually, when I brought my hand down, just to turn around, thunk, I put my finger right through the hook. As you can see, the hook's no longer here because it went into my hand and I had to get it out. In fact, I've got footage of that, so I'm going to cut right now to that footage, and you can watch me sticking this hook off of this bait into my finger. It's not very gruesome. It might make you cringe a little bit if you're anticipating that hook. This is a 1/0 owner hook, a heavy wire swim bait hook. It's a big hook, and now I know it is extremely sharp because it penetrated through my skin so fast, so smoothly, just right in. But unfortunately, the barb on this bad boy, as you can see here, it's a beefy barb. I don't know if it'll show up. And that barb did not want to come out. So let's cut to that footage, and then I'll come back and tell you the rest of the story. Yeah. Oh, the Clash 9. Yeah, oh, that's all you got to say, dude. Clash 9. I'm not up on the old K9 lingo. Here it is. The K9. I'll try to remember that next time. The Clash 9. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I got a treble hook in my finger, guys. All right. We may be cutting the show short because I got to get this treble hook out of my finger. So I'm going to have to wrap us up. The Clash 9 has put a hook in my finger. Hate to end the show early, guys, but I don't really want to sit here with a treble hook in my finger. Thanks for hopping on the show. it was fun, 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 fun. I enjoyed it. And I will see you guys on Saturday night. Keep fishing and keep praying for our buddy Jimmy Houston and his wife. So I got to end, guys. Got to get this out of my hand. Okay. Did it look painful? I was trying to downplay it, and I was trying to think, well, I got to wrap this up. I got to end the show, and I got to figure out how to get this hook out of my finger. And while I was talking there, I grabbed the hook and just tried to jerk it out. No way. It was not budging. And I thought, man, I got a problem here. So ended the show, and these are the things I'm going to show you that you will need to remove a hook the right way. Okay, let's say you're fishing along, minding your own business, and all of a sudden, wham, you get a hook in you. It can happen a number of different ways. One of the ways it can happen is by simply rearing back to cast, letting it go, and for whatever reason, the lure hook your ear, or hook your neck, or hook your buddy. That happens a lot of times. You end up hooking a friend. That's an easy way to get hooked. Another really common way, especially with treble hooks, is landing a fish. You've got a fish, you caught him with the treble hooks, you reach down to grab the fish, either in his mouth or grab the outside, and just as you go down, he moves, he jumps, he flips, and wham, hook in your hand, hook in your finger, hook in wherever. It just happens like that, lightning fast. So once you get a hook in you, what do you do? Let me show you, let me kind of demonstrate to you what happened to me here. As I said, I went down like this, and bam, the hook penetrated, and it was straight in my finger like this, okay? Now, one thing that people will tell you, and I don't disagree with it if you can make it happen, is that sometimes it's easier to push that hook on through and out than it is to pull it back out. The problem with trying to push a hook through is it's got to be hooked in a super flexible, fleshy part of your skin, or it's got to be hooked in a piece where you're not going to penetrate a bone or any other obstruction by trying to push it through. And pushing it through is painful. I had a buddy that he's a fishing guide. His name is Captain Shane Purcell, down in the Everglades. We were fishing. I was on a guide trip with him, and that very thing happened to him. We were fishing topwaters, and he was reaching down to pick up the fish. Just as he reached down, it flipped and right into his thumb, I think it was. And he tried and tried and tried to push that thing through, and it was just so hard. He had a real tough, fleshy part of his thumb, and it was so painful every time he tried to push it. It just didn't work. So I would say many, many times you are not going to be able to push it through, but that is definitely an option. You just cut the hook. You just cut everything off the hook so that you've just got the hook part, and then you just push it through, and hopefully you're good to go. That's definitely one way. But usually, I'd say at least half the time, if not more, you're going to have to pull that hook out the same way it went in. And it's not easy. In fact, when this hook was in my finger, like so, I tried to pull it out with my hand, and I just couldn't get it. So the next thing I did is I grabbed a pair of pliers, and I just said to myself, okay, look, I can do this. All I got to do is grab this hook and just jerk it as hard as I can. The problem with that is a couple of things. One, you know when you're going to jerk, and And being surprised actually is better. If you can be surprised, it makes it easier. And second, you'd be surprised how difficult it is to pull something out of your hand while it's increasing the pain. And as soon as you start to put pressure on that hook, the pain goes way up. The same if you twist the hook or move it left or right, that's going to cause a tremendous amount of pain too. So let's assume you're going to have to pull it out, and the old pull it with pliers or pull it with a hand method doesn't work. Hands down, the best way to do this is the old braided line trick, using braided line. And I'm going to explain how this is done, and then I'm going to cut to the other night when I stuck this in my finger. I had my wife record it while I jerked it out with the braided line, and you can see in action how it really works. Real life. This was not staged. It was, believe me, it was pure accident, which is exactly what happens. Just plain old fishing accident. What more can you say? Alrighty, so here is the trick to this. Now, obviously, when I had this hooked in, the lure was still attached to me. You know, we're going around here. Not only is it attached to me, there's a second treble hook hanging off here that also could cause more damage. So, number one, as long as you're not passed out, as long as you're not just bleeding all over the place, even if you are bleeding, you just got to deal with it. The number one thing you got to do is separate the lure from the hook. And quite frankly, trying to get it off of a split ring, that's ridiculous. So I make sure wherever I go, I've got a pair of wire cutters. A pair of dikes like these, or some wire cutters out there that are sharp enough and strong enough that you know it will cut the shank of a 1 or a 2/0 hook and anything smaller. Now this is a light wire hook. This one on this DRT Clash is a beefy stout hook. If you have a very flimsy, cheap pair of pliers, you may not be able to cut through that. So get a beefy enough pair of wire cutters that you're going to be able to really penetrate and cut through that hook. So that's what I did. First, I just cut the hook off here and got the bait free. Then you can put the bait away. No more injuries. You don't have to worry about that second hook. You don't have to worry about leverage problems. There's a whole myriad of reasons why you don't want that hook attached. Once you get the bait off, then all you've got left is a hook attached to you, right? So the next thing you do is cut the other barbs of the hook off so that those barbs are not going to get in the way and you're not going to get hung up on it or stick yourself. This happens. A person, while they're trying to get the hook out, will stick themselves with the other hook, and then they got a real problem, a much bigger problem. So here is the final product. So here's the hook, and as you can see where I cut it off from the lure, and you can see the other two barbs are completely gone. I've just got what's left in my body. Once you have cut all the barbs off the hook, next you want to take braided line and wrap it around your hook. What size braided line? I would say the heaviest braided line you've got is what you should use. I used 65-pound braid when I removed this hook recently. It worked perfectly, but obviously use the heaviest braid you've got. If you've only got like 10-pound braid, then I would double it up or triple it up to give you a little more oomph there. So someone asked me, well, what kind of a knot do you tie around the hook? And I'll show you. You don't even really have to tie a knot. What you do is take your braid, make a loop. And I'm using this orange rope just so it's easier to see. Pretend this is my 65-pound braid. All you do is make a loop, just like that. And you take your hook. I've got an exaggerated hook to show you how to do this. And you just put your line over the hook like so. See that? Then you take your 2 open ends. They don't have to be tied or anything. And you just run them through this open loop. That's all you do. Just like so. See that? That is all you need. And when you yank, it's not going to come loose. Guaranteed, it will not come loose. Now, what do you do? First step, you get the braided line on. You have these 2 hooks cut off. Obviously, I'm not cutting the hooks off on this demonstration treble. And let's say you've got this in your hand here. The trick, what you're trying to do when you jerk this is you want that hook to come out the exact same path that it went in. So in order to make sure that it travels right out the same path, you lay the hook as flat as you possibly can. In the video that I'm going to show you in a minute, what I did is I tried to put this finger flat on the table, and so that I could then lay the shaft of the hook flat on the table, parallel to my finger. You want it running the exact same way as your finger. And that way, when you jerk it out, it's going to come out the same exact path. So you've got to, once you've got that and you've got it aligned properly, then the next trick is you've got to hold the shank of the hook as hard as you can on a surface, on a table, on the side of your boat, somewhere where you can hold this hook. You would say, well, you don't want to hold the hook because you're trying to pull the hook out. But it's imperative that you keep that hook that's stuck in your flesh. When you pull, you don't want it to twist or turn. You just want it to come straight out. The way that you keep it from twisting or turning at all is by holding the shaft firmly in place. And don't worry, when you jerk, it's going to pop right out from underneath your thumb. And so the easiest way to do this, if you've got 2 people, is let the other party pull the hook out, because they can surprise you. Now, last night it was just me and my wife, and she was too freaked out about pulling the line. So I was able to persuade her, without too much trouble, to just hold the hook in place for me. So you'll see her holding the hook in place, and then I went ahead and jerked. And as soon as you do that little bit of force, you'd be amazed. That hook just comes right out. It pulls right out of the path. You don't even feel it. Quite frankly, that did not hurt at all. And you're done. And not only are you done, you can tape your finger up and go right back to fishing. There's really, look at the wound here. This was last night that this happened. Last night. And there's practically no wound there at all. That's how clean this comes out. It really doesn't damage the flesh at all. And it's because you've already created a little microscopic tunnel in your skin, in your flesh. It was already created once by the barb and the hook. Now you're just pulling it out the same pathway. And really works great. So, here's the critical thing to remember. If you're not prepared and you're on the water and it happens, and you don't have any pliers, and you don't have any braid, and you're not prepared, you're screwed. And that's not where you want to be. You don't have to have a ton of stuff. You need a pair of wire cutters. You need some braided fishing line, as heavy as you can get. All right, got it here. This is the way it went in, so it should come out this way. I'm going to try to hold it down. Actually, you're probably going to have to hold this down. Okay. Honey, you're going to have to hold this hook. Just kind of...
Okay. Hold it like, just put my finger in it like that?
Yeah, just hold it flat like that.
Okay.
Hold it down.
Okay, I'm trying to hold the camera too.
All right.
This does not feel stable at all.
All right, don't push.
Don't push
too far this way, because it's gonna just hold it down.
Okay.
nice lines wrapped around my hand here. If I could get my finger out of the way there. All right. Okay. Here we go.
Okay, do you want me to put pressure on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to hold it flat.
Okay.
Is it ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. It's out.
Oh, my Lord.
That's how you do it.
That is gruesome.
That was painful. But
Was it painful?
yeah.
I think so.
This is the hook that got me.
That is so big.
So, yeah, went in pretty deep. But the old braided wire method.
It works. I don't need. My eyes were shut.
The braided
I don't
line.
even know what you
It
did.
works.
I shut my eyes.
So there you go. That's all there is to it.
Okay, my stomach is like doing major flip-flops right now.
All right. Okay, what'd you think? Pretty easy, pretty simple, isn't it? It really is. It's not a bad deal at all. It's not that hard. And the best part, you can still keep fishing. And that's more important than anything. Now, one caveat. If you've tried to push it through and that doesn't work, if you've tried the braided method or you don't have braid with you, you don't have wire cutters, and you've determined, I just got to go get this taken out by a professional. Obviously, the emergency room is the first place you'd go, or one of these quick clinics. But one of the viewers also suggested, I've not verified this, I can't vouch for it, I'm not a medical expert, so just take this with a grain of salt. He said, go to a tattoo parlor. Those guys, they do piercings, they know how to handle this kind of stuff, they can get hooks out, no problem, and they're a lot cheaper. Sometimes they're even free, but a lot cheaper than an emergency room. So, hey, sounds reasonable. Sounds like might be worth a try. I'm going to keep it in the back of my head just in case I get into that situation where I don't have any other choice. Anyway, hope this was informative. I hope it was helpful. You know, my wife asked me, how did you know how to do that? You want to know how I knew how to do it? I've watched YouTube videos of people doing this very thing so that when it happened to me, I was able to have a calm head, I was able to think clearly, and I was able to say, okay, I know what I need to do here. I need to cut these barbs off. I need to go find a piece of braid, and I knew how to pull it out, and it worked flawlessly. And if it worked for me, it can absolutely work for you. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the notification bell to find out when we post the next video. I would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, this is Mr. Bass. Happy fishing!